Hey everyone, welcome back to TBM Sports. Let's get it going and talk about the divisional round that's coming this weekend. Hope you guys are all doing well. We're going to break down each game individually. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the Houston Texans taking on the 1 seed in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to break down the game in its entirety. I'll talk game script, talk kind of betting trends, as well as kind of where my head's at and my best bets in the prop market right here in this video. So please stick around to the end. Also, if you have not done so, this is the exact time in this video where you guys should all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure that you guys all subscribe down below with that notification bell firmly turned on so you don't miss a video when I do drop one. These picks are completely free. I do get to see the numbers. When you do hit that subscribe button, I get a notification, and it's something where I can see 80% of the people who watch this video are not currently subscribed here at TBM Sports. So make sure you guys are all doing that, and let's get down into the picks, okay? Also, I do have a free Discord. You guys are all welcome to join, and if you do want to start betting on Outlier, there's a 7-day free trial, and that is the platform that I'll use to break down these games. And we're going to be talking about it right now. So let's get into it. The 4:30 Eastern kickoff with the 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Texans, banged up, tattered at Arrowhead. The Chiefs coming in at a minus 8.5 point favorite. Total set at 41.5. Where my head's at and kind of just the initial reaction, we're going to tie a lot of bets together. We're going to be grand chalk this weekend because there's a lot of teaser legs that we want to talk about. Also, it's something where we look into kind of Arrowhead, the 1 seed, Andy Reid, 2-week layoff, Spagnolia. There's a lot of narratives that are going to go against the Houston Texans and D'Amico Ryans, albeit they played an outstanding game against Jim Harbaugh and company. Well, at least for a little bit. Jim Harbaugh, unfortunately, was taken to the hospital for a heart procedure. So don't know how much of a role that actually played into the Chargers' unfortunate loss where I was on the side of the Chargers in that game. But that's kind of where we're going to segue into the picks here. You can see kind of the way the handle is distributed. The money is on the Kansas City Chiefs minus 8.5, as well as a not too much of a differential within the betting splits within the total, set at 41.5. Okay, face value. It's going to be very hard for the Texans to win this game, okay? It's very hard to, first and foremost, bet against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes since his inception in the league in any playoff spot, okay? Even when they're the underdogs in a huge, even Super Bowl game where it's just going to be kind of all bets are off. It's just something about the Chiefs. And when you get them in the cold at Arrowhead with a layoff, there's a couple storylines we have to go into leading up to this game. And I'm going to break it all down for you guys right now. Okay, first and foremost, the health and concern of Joe Mixon. Couple that with the fact that Nico Collins is the only receiver kind of available to go alongside John Mechie. And we do get some Dalton Schultz action. But, guys, there's something about just C.J. Stroud going against Spagnolia. I don't really see an avenue where the Texans kind of keep this one close. The only thing that worries me is the Chiefs historically are a very strong under team, okay? Also, if we want to go down into the injury road within the Chiefs, Pacheco, one of the hardest running backs to bring down yards after contact. It's a number where we're going to look at that backfield with him, Kareem Hunt, P. Ryan. There's going to be a lot of ways that I think the Kansas City Chiefs get this one done. But most notably, guys, it's something within tackling Pacheco in the cold. Go back to the game against the Dolphins when Tua was coming to town last season. You know, the Dolphins were hot, not so fast. It's very hard to win an Arrowhead in January, okay? And that's kind of the mindset that I'm in, right? Will I lay the 8.5? Probably not. If there was a big spread on the board that I do like, it would be the side of the Chiefs. I think that there's going to be an extreme amount of pressure on C.J. Stroud, not just emotionally, but also physically, as Spagnolia and how he dials up the blitz. It's going to be something very hard to overcome for a young quarterback on the road making a playoff start, okay? Now let's get into some of the numbers, and we're going to talk about the total. I do want to tell you guys, I lean Chiefs, I lean under, but no official play on the side or total in their own rights. Full disclosure, I will be taking the Kansas City Chiefs within a 6-point teaser. We're rolling chalk, just like everybody in the world, right? America's teaser, as they like to call it, going alongside. You can couple it with the Lions, you can couple it with the Bills, and with those three teams, you really can't go wrong within the teaser market, and that's kind of where I stand within making those bets. So I will be doing a 6-point teaser with all three of those teams. I'm going to do those as 2-point legs. As 2-leg teasers, as well as I'll do one big one as a 3-leg teaser. And I won't go pretty much more than that, but that is where I lie within the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Lions, okay? So let's get into this game individually, okay? And to do so, we are going to bring up some more data points. First and foremost, I do want to talk about the numbers in terms of the insights and betting trends. And so let's look at this in terms of the matchup, in terms of the points and the spread, okay? The Kansas City Chiefs have hit the under in 4 of the last 5 games as a favorite. A lot of people think Patrick Mahomes. They think 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, MVPs, Tom Brady, and they just think points, okay? Not so fast. The Chiefs have historically been a very strong under team, and that's exactly what it's setting up to be today in tomorrow's contest. Also, I do want to point out the Houston Texans, 2 out of their last games against top 10 scoring defenses, right? They have failed to cover and win a game, okay? So that's kind of where the Kansas City money line. I know it's minus 410, but just setting up that narrative where I can't back the Texans in the spot. Against the spread ATS, the Chiefs, 3 out of their last 9 as a favorite. So that does give way to the narrative within Houston plus 8.5. However, I got the Chiefs. I'm taking them. I will bet that teaser leg where the Chiefs win by a field goal. And that's kind of my strongest way to approach this divisional weekend outside of just taking a few couple sides and totals in varying games. I'm really on board with the chalk teaser. It's something where I do feel strongly about it. But I am going to also share with you guys the props right now, where I do think this is going to prove very much to be a very profitable prop game for my liking. Okay, let's look at kind of how Kansas City and Houston stacks up against each other. You can see kind of in this matchup, they've had a rough go of it, I guess you would say, Houston, where they were one of the hotter teams. A lot of people had them preseason. You know, they bring in Diggs, great defense, DeMeco Ryans, defensive-minded coach. They had their little playoff run last year, and C.J. Stroud's second year, everybody was thinking, hey, this is a year where the Texans can do some damage. Now, they did finish 10-7, so we'll give them that, but I don't think it's something where they come into the playoffs. I know they played well against the Chargers, but it's not something where yet I would consider them even being in the conversation to get it done and win a Super Bowl trophy, okay? Some of the statistics that do back it up, we look at the Kansas City defense, 4th in defense, going against a bottom 15 in terms of the Houston's offense. The one glaring kind of factor right now is the red zone efficiency that I do see playing a role. Okay, they're going to be in the cold, frozen ground. The Chiefs right now 8th in red zone efficiency on defense, going against a Texans offense that is bottom of that metric, 26th in the NFL. That's one that does jump off at the page at me. Also, within yards per play, the Chiefs defense, in my opinion, is top 3 in the NFL. Okay, the Houston offense does falter. Joe Mixon's banged up. They have Nico Collins, John Mechie, and that's basically it. Okay. I don't really see an avenue where C.J. Stroud's going to be able to move the ball, albeit 8.5 is a lot of points. And in a game where I do lean towards the under, we do get a backdoor completely wide open where I could see the Texans getting in there. But this is something where I'm going to favor the Chiefs. I'm going to bet them in teaser legs, like I said, and look for them to get the job done, winning by at least a field goal. Okay, we look at kind of the injury report outside of that. Okay, the big one for me, guys, is Pacheco. I think it's going underappreciated what Pacheco can do yards after contact, like I mentioned. I think that he gets it done. I think he's having a huge game, and albeit they do have a lot of rotational pieces now in the backfield, I do favor Pacheco out of the backfield quite a bit. And let's get into some of these props, okay? The first and foremost, we're not going to talk about Pacheco, but we're going to stay in that Kansas City backfield. Samaje Perine, okay, over 8.5 at minus 120 is the best number available. One of my favorite prop bets on the board. I just was at a bar last night, played some pickleball, went to a bar, was watching the replay of the Chiefs playing the Texans in their prior matchup, and coincidentally, one of my favorite bets of the week, look up at the screen, and there all of a sudden I see Samaje catching a swing pass on the left side, going up the sideline, getting a 20-plus yard gain. We saw this with the Cincinnati Bengals a little bit. In the playoffs, they're going to be all Samaje, I think, in my opinion. He's hit this number 6 of his last 6 games, and this is something where we look at it, guys, at home. Look at the numbers and look at the average, okay? 27.8 receiving yards per game. One of my favorite bets on the card last week, December 21st against Houston, had 50 yards. So I look for that to continue. Samaje Perine over 8.5 receiving is probably my favorite bet in the Kansas City Chiefs game overall, okay? So that's where I'm going to be at with Samaje. You kind of look at the Houston receiving yards allowed, 7th overall, 11th to the running back position, but I do think that's something where Samaje gets it done with a couple checkdowns, okay? If we talk about actual receptions, okay, he's only getting it done with respectively 2, 5, 2, 1, 2, and 3 receptions. Targets, and basically catching that at a clip where he's getting 80% of his targets actually converted into receptions, and that is averaging around 2.5 targets. So to hit this, we just need a 4 and a 5 yard scamper, and we end up cashing this ticket. One of my favorite bets on the card. Okay. Also, I do want to get into the Harrison Butker field goals. Okay. I know this one is pricey. Minus 184 is the best number available. It's out of hand. Would not bet this straight, but I do think it's free money. Butker in the playoffs, the Texans will be able to kind of hold off the Chiefs, I think, in the red zone. So I do think the points end up cashing in a low-scoring affair. I look for the over in the field goals as an overall, but I do think that Harrison gets it done on the Chiefs side, getting 2 field goals. I think this will be an easy cash in my personal opinion, but I'm not going to lay it outright minus 184. So for all you parlay builders out there, keep Harrison Butker over 1.5 field goals as a best bet, okay? Next, and the last prop that we're going to be betting before I get into kind of some of the leans is Isaiah Pacheco. This is a number where it's not gone over in terms of his rushing attempts, but you got to remember something, and this is my big highlight of this week. He's had a long layoff to get healthy. Okay, I think it's going underappreciated how much time this is actually going to do and help Pacheco return to complete 100% form. He's not going to be 100%. Nobody is this time of year, but Pacheco going over his rushing attempts, I think it's where 10.5 is going to be very easy to cash. If we look back at the date and time where they did play the Houston Texans, he had 9 rushing attempts, okay, going against the Texans last time out, and the Chiefs won 27-19. I think it's something where he wasn't fully healthy yet. So now as we get this kind of game script, it's the playoffs. You really want to establish a line of scrimmage. I think Pacheco sails over 10.5 rushing attempts, and we cash this one at plus money. Right now you can find the best number available, plus 105 at BetMGM and Bet365, juiced up in other places, okay? Now last, I know everybody wants to bet Mahomes. They want to bet Travis Kelce. Fine, go for it. I'm not going to tell you guys to not bet any of these guys, but the one kind of bet for Mahomes that I would kind of dabble into, and this is going to be something where it's not just a Chiefs game. I do like quarterback rushing a lot in the postseason. I'm going to pull up the Patrick Mahomes rushing yards, okay? If we want to talk about it more so, this is kind of where we look at it right now, set at 24.5 now. You can find alternate lines. I think this one has risen a little bit. Yeah, over 23.5 is on FanDuel, minus 113. This is kind of where I'm going to be at, all right? Look at the head-to-head. He had 33 against Houston back in December. And if we look kind of in the whole 2024 season, I think he runs a little bit more in the postseason. It's only cashed 25% of the time, but I do think with how Houston's going to attack him, and we take in the recency within that performance where he had 33 yards on the ground against Houston, it's just a lean. I don't love it, but if you're looking for something to bet in the Mahomes category, I would dabble into the over rushing yards, okay? Within Houston, they have a great secondary. Individually, I do not like any of the Kansas City receivers. If you want to get into DeAndre Hopkins, into that whole conversation, fine, go for it. But that's just something, that's the only person that I really would look at. Outside of that, guys, it's not going to be easy pickings. I don't even like the Kelce market, but if you want to bet Kelce, I kind of will show you right now on the screen. I do like Kelce. It's a lean towards his over in receiving. You go with that familiarity. You go with the fact that it's the playoffs, and they're going to find a way to get Kelce to get the ball, but he has not hit 5.5 receptions in 80% of the games against top 10 defenses. That's gone under, okay? But if we want to talk reception yards, One Kelsey bet I do always like is the longest reception. He only had 14 against Houston back in December, but if we look in the course of 2024, he's cashed this 56% of the time. I don't love it, but that's a bet I do like making with Kelsey. But if we look at Houston, he had 30 yards against Houston on the 21st. Last game out against Pittsburgh, he had 84 yards. It's just no edge for me in this bet, so I'm more or less talking about this to kind of get you guys away from Kelsey, get you guys away from Mahomes, all right? But the last thing that I'll leave you with is the Joe Mixon kind of injury concern, all right? And that's another popular play out there. I'm not going to even be taking him in the touchdown market. For me, guys, I think that if we look at Joe Mixon with the injury concerns, what is this actually going to mean? I don't think that you can even find him on the board in some places in terms of this injury concern. It could be something where he's kind of left off of the board. They might have that one locked up, and I can't even find on Outlier, but his rushing total at one point was 57.5. So his questionable status is kind of concerning for me, guys, in my money. If I do get a notification that Mixon is playing 100% and they put him back up on the odds board, I probably will dabble into the Joe Mixon under 57.5 rushing yards. I just think with an ankle injury, tough run defense, I don't think they're going to run into a brick wall with damaged goods. So I think this is something that we could cash the under on Joe Mixon's rushing yards if this bet ever does open up. So that's kind of where I stand. All right, so those are my best bets. Full disclosure, I know this is kind of a cheapo way of going about it, but I don't like the Chiefs minus 8.5. There's a lot of big favorites on the board. If we were going to bet the Chiefs on a side outright, I would go Chiefs minus 8.5. I would lay it. I don't love it. If you can find it juiced up minus 8, potentially get a push if they do win by 8. But in a game that I'm projecting a lower total and also kind of a Chiefs victory, it's really going to be hard to win by 10. It could happen. I'm not saying it can't, but it's just not an edge for me. It's not a play outright, so I will be taking the Chiefs minus 2.5, minus 2 if we get it in that two-leg teaser kind of round robin play I'm going to be making with these divisional games. Okay, so those are my best bets in terms of props. That's how I feel about the side and total, and I hope you guys all cash some tickets. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We will have the other games covered in their entirety, so make sure you have that notification bell turned on. I am going to be dropping those videos on Friday. So make sure you guys all check them out. Leave me a comment down below. What are you guys going to be betting in this game? Appreciate you all tuning in. Good luck with your picks, and we'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.